Hurricane Erin has changed course, and I'm going to show you where it is now headed. It is an absolutely massive storm. It continues to increase in size, and you can see the cloud cover extending all the way back through western South Carolina, western North Carolina, near Charlotte, and over toward Boone, and even up toward Roanoke, getting in toward DC in terms of the cloud field. It continues to strengthen as well, organizing its inner core as new life has been injected to it. Much better outflow on the northern, eastern, and western sides, even the southwestern side, and it's over a ribbon of warmer waters as we speak. You can even see, if you look here at the satellite image, this is much improved. You can see some lightning strikes right around the core. You've got a lot of lightning in the outer bands, but lightning around the core indicates strengthening, and that's what we're seeing right now with Erin. And this is the satellite image that we're kind of used to seeing that I show a lot. And you can see the big bursts of black colors here. Those are cold cloud tops reaching high up into the atmosphere. It's got convection wrapped all the way around the center. The eye wall looks a little ragged, looks like it's battling a little bit of dry air still just outside of the core. If that injects into the core, going to have a problem with strengthening. But all the forecasts, at least the official forecast, has this regaining major hurricane strength as we speak. This is the microwave imagery. It shows you inside of the storm a little bit better than radar can do, but it in the regular satellite too. It shows you the core here as it moves on up. There's North Carolina there, and it's back down here in the Bahamas. So this is a time-lapse loop, of course, but watch the core as it rolls through the Bahamas, and you start to get some rebuilding here. Look at this. It roll through the Bahamas. It went north of the Bahamas, but there it is. The East Coast is over here. It'll come into view. There's North Carolina, South Carolina. Look at that. So you're starting to see that inner core rebuild, and so we could see a strengthening system over the next day or so before it encounters cooler waters in a hostile environment. 110 miles per hour pressure at 943 millibars, moving off to the north and finally starting to tick northeast now. It's made that turn. It has been on a westerly, and then a northerly, and now finally a northeasterly trajectory. We've been waiting for this to happen, and it is going to continue to go in north-northeast direction until we get on into tomorrow. Then it's going to take a much more northeasterly turn, finally an east-northeasterly turn, and get out of everybody's hair except for the North Atlantic later on. But that's what's going on with it right now. That's the latest advisory. Here is the wind field. It's absolutely massive. These are tropical storm force sustained winds, not gusts. Gusts extend much further out. Hurricane force winds are right around here in the red, right around the center, kind of offset a little bit to the east where the better convection is. Tropical storm warnings are up from the Delmarva Peninsula down here all the way through essentially close to southern Outer Banks here. So we're going to see tropical storm force winds across the Outer Banks, a lot of coastal flooding, a lot of storm surge. Hopefully you've heeded the evacuations and you're out of this area. You're going to see a lot of overwash. We'll take a look at just how much we can expect. But here is the surge forecast all the way from South Santee River all the way up here to Sandy Hook now. This has just been added over the course of the afternoon. 1 to 3 feet of storm surge can be expected in these areas. You're just getting pummeled with easterly winds coming in off the Atlantic, piling that water up. Such a big hurricane. These big hurricanes, I did a video earlier today and we talked about this, but these big hurricanes have a massive wind field that can really pile the water up out ahead of them, disturb the Atlantic. We're going to see very high seas out here. We're already seeing that, of course. Rip currents are a problem, folks, up and down the eastern seaboard today and tomorrow, and eventually making its way on up here to Nova Scotia. Do not swim in this water. We've had people die already and drowned out here in the water. Lots of water rescues, straining resources. You got to stay out of this water, folks, as Erin passes by. It's not going to get any better for the next couple of days. This is a graph I don't show all that much, but it's actually Recon. They send Recon flights in to hurricane hunters, go into the storms, and they take measurements, and these are flight level winds. And where they're up here, we're seeing hurricane force winds, the flight level, these pinks and purples, really Category 3 and Category 4 force winds, all in the eastern quadrant, all at flight level. It's not making it down to the surface, but as we start to get better winds in all quadrants, that would indicate a strengthening storm, and certainly they're not finding these winds at the surface. Max sustained winds are being found at around 110 miles per hour, and we need to get to 115 or so to get to major hurricane status there, folks. So very close here in terms of being a major hurricane again. This is the water temperature content, heat content. We're looking at upper 80s in this ribbon. Erin is right in here. So we're seeing it continue to take advantage of this warmer water. As you can see, over time, it's going to move in this direction and encounter cooler waters, which is not favorable for continued development. And so that's what's going on there. We're also watching shear. We saw in the satellite image here. I'll roll back to this so you can see it. You see how we're kind of lopsided? Much of the outflow is looking really, really good over here from the west to the southeast, but you've got this area here down in this quadrant that just doesn't look all that great. You've got cloud cover down here, but all the big bright cloud tops are missing from that area. And the reason that is the case is because you've got some wind shear down in there. It's kind of pushing Erin now out to the north and to the east. Look at this. You've got good outflow in this direction. You can see these streamlines going out. Good outflow here, good outflow over here. So you've got really good outflow, but then you've got wind coming in like this and just sort of hitting the storm, and you can see the streamlines coming in from here, so it's blowing it that way, and you're kind of messing up the exhaust system, if you will. That's how that sort of works there, and needs good outflow aloft, because what happens is these storms around the core, they release a lot of heat, they lift the air vigorously, and that air that's been brought up to the top of the atmosphere around 200 millibars, that's got to get spread out. If it stays here, it chokes the storm. When it gets spread out good, you get an anticyclone up there. It evacuates all the air, and it allows that more air to come up. When you evacuate at the top, more air comes up from the bottom, kind of like if you're in a pool and you put your hands half in the water and you spread them out real quick, you see the water come up. That's what's going on with a really good exhaust system in working properly. When you impede some of that, you impede the strength of the storm. And so we're seeing a little bit of that on the southwest side. These are wind gusts here, folks. If we roll this forward, you're seeing some wind gusts already making it in to the Outer Banks tropical storm force wind gusts. We get into, let's just roll it back to 11 a.m. tomorrow. Look at this, 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts possible. You're under tropical storm warnings. You're going to have sustained wind gusts out here. Possible wind gusts, tropical storm force wind gusts all the way up to the Jersey Shore, Atlantic City, and up here into Long Island, eventually Cape Cod. As we roll this on forward, going to be a windy day tomorrow from the Outer Banks all the way up to Cape Cod. You're going to see gusts into the 30s, 40s, maybe even 50s, and then we get on into Friday, still lingering. The system's pulled away, but it's got such a massive wind field. It's going to take till Friday night and Saturday to pull all of that away. Looking at actual sustained winds, this is the European model. These greens are getting into the light greens here, close to yellow. We're talking about 28, 30 miles per hour. And look at this, it clips here. So this is why we're under a tropical storm force or a tropical storm warning for tropical storm force winds. We're getting over 39 mile per hour sustained winds along the Outer Banks. Clips the basically eastern tidewater of Virginia up here close to the Delmarva Peninsula. You could see some tropical storm conditions up there in your way. Even the Jersey Shore could pick up a little bit of sustained, a period of sustained tropical storm force winds. But sometimes the European model overdoes this a little bit, but in any event, it's going to be gusty for sure. And then eventually that just pulls on out to sea come Friday afternoon into Saturday and gets out of everybody's hair there. Here's the wave action. We've looked at this on a different model, but I'm going to roll this on forward. You can see these big waves, 20 to 25 feet waves out here just off of Cape Hatteras, and just pummeling the shore. We're going to have so much coastal erosion here and so much damage to the beaches up and down the eastern seaboard. We get into 12Z tomorrow, so Thursday, and then Thursday evening into Friday, overnight Friday up here in the mid-Atlantic. You guys are getting pounded with the highest waves, and eventually that translates on up. We get into Friday afternoon, noon, Friday evening, overnight. We're talking about up here in Nova Scotia and then over into the Avalon Peninsula, and things start to back off a bit. But that is the wave action. Going to be some very high surf. Again, dangerous conditions out there. Stay out of the Atlantic. And then lastly here, looking at the radar image, the future projected radar. This is the European, getting some rain bands in over the course of tonight into the Outer Banks, and maybe a band or two sneaking in here into Virginia, eastern Virginia, and the Tidewater up to the Delmarva, and then you're going to drag some feeder bands through Bermuda too as it heads on out. But the bulk of the intense weather is going to stay off the coast. Thank goodness. You're not going to see any sort of big impacts inland, just along the coastal areas with the surge and everything else. And again, there's the satellite image getting its act together. All of these clouds not producing rain, big rain out here in the mountains where I am, and that is thunderstorms ahead of a cold front, and that's just sort of settled into the area, and we've got lots of activity back here in the southeast, but it's not related to Erin. But these high clouds that you see streaming in are just a massive, massive storm, and just pulling this back, you can see how much of the Atlantic it takes up here, folks. It is a big, big, big storm, and there you have it. So that's the update for tonight. We'll keep you updated as things continue to change with Erin. Be back tomorrow with a full cold rains weather world. I put out a video today. Check it out. It's called Size Matters, and it does when it comes to hurricanes. But that's it. Hope you have a great night, folks. See you soon.